Hey everyone, it's Miss Queen Crypto, and I am back again for another episode of Friday Block Talk here on the Embily channel. Very happy to be back. I've got my room a little more situated now, so settling back into the exciting college lifestyle. Classes are starting up again, so always exciting. I'm taking some super fun biomedical engineering classes, but like for realsies, so hopefully this is going to be a really good semester. I'm looking forward to it, but not the topic of today's video. Today, I wanted to talk about a post that I saw online that I think went like at least a little bit viral, but it was a sign in a Starbucks store that said soon that they're going to be entirely cashless. They won't be accepting cash at their establishment anymore. It'll only be cards or app payments. So I wanted to have a conversation about whether or not this is good, like a good thing for Bitcoin and for cryptocurrency, or if this is something that's going to inhibit the expansion and the like development of Bitcoin and crypto in general. So with that, let's hop on into it. So I'll take you through my thought process first of all. So upon seeing that, there was like a caption with it, obviously, and it was saying like, I will never shop at an entirely cashless store. And I'm not honestly positive whether or not the creator that posted that is someone who's in the Bitcoin space or not, or if it just got like popped up on my timeline because it had something to do with like economics and money and like fiat. So my initial thought when I saw that was, oh, that's interesting. Is this going to make people more comfortable with the use of cryptocurrency now that cash, like if hypothetically, if cash became completely obsolete, and there was no longer anyone using a physical money, then would that be good for cryptocurrency? Would that like destigmatize it in a way? Would that make people more comfortable with the idea of using entirely online payments? Because I would see how that could help with the expansion and like growing that bubble. But it was something that I decided to like sit on a little bit longer. I want to know, if you want to take a second and pause and think about it for yourself, you feel free to do so. But I think it's a weird one because a lot of the benefits of cryptocurrency have to do with like the ease of transaction, not having to go through a bank, having that decentralized nature, and having that anonymity. Like those are some very core pillars of Bitcoin at least, and many other cryptocurrencies share those features. And so by introducing or switching to an entirely online system, are people going to see a greater need for Bitcoin and for cryptocurrency, or is that need going to diminish? Is the demand for a cryptocurrency alternative going to diminish when everything that we use is crypto in some sense? Not really, but if it's all online, then where is the benefit that people are going to see? Because I'm someone who has spent a decent amount of time looking into this subject and understanding and trying to learn more. And so for me, I see the value as more than just a way to send and receive funds. For me, it's obviously a store of value. It's like a very cool technology, the blockchain. It's something that I can really see the future building on. But are people going to agree with that? Or is this going to be something that could like lead to the downfall? So let's get into a little bit more of a technical analysis in a second. So real quick, what is the purpose of money? Basically, it's just a medium of exchange for goods. Rather than trade and barter, we're able to use money. It simplifies things. You don't have to find the exact person who has what you want but also wants what you have. You can use this like condensed version that has the value of the goods that you want, and you do not have to worry about the scalability of your product. You don't have to worry about the time frame that your product is good for, etc., etc. You can also monetize your work, and even though you could do that in a trade and barter system, but you can then choose exactly what you want to do with the money that you have earned. So money has had different forms throughout the centuries. Obviously, if you've read the Bitcoin standard, then you've read through the whole history of different monetary forms, from like glass beads to stones, the Zeb stones, and you know that there is no single definition for what money can be. It's more of a socially agreed upon item or thing or concept that everyone agrees has value, and because everyone agrees that it has value, you are able to use it to exchange goods. Now, there's more that goes into it than just like socially thinking or like having the notion that it has value. Obviously, you want something that can, like, that inherently is scarce in some way, shape, or form, because that scarcity is what really drives the value. And so, obviously, when we're talking about fiat money, we do not have that scarcity at play. That's not something that's really part of the equation. And I think anyone who's watched any video or even knows anything about cryptocurrency in general would have to agree with that scarcity really isn't something that we see a lot with like fiat money, and that's leading to a whole lot of problems right now. Watch my inflation video if you want to hear more about that one. But Bitcoin still has that scarcity. And so because of that, I see it as something that it is not going to feel or be threatened by an expansion of funds into an online space. Now, I thought that post itself was interesting because personally, I've gotten to a point where I would say about 90% of the transactions that I interact with, like monetary transactions, they are online or card. Like, I have Apple Pay on my phone, and so I don't even have to bring my wallet with me most of the time. I can just like tap my phone to the scanner and suddenly the transaction is approved, and that ease is very convenient for me. I don't have to worry about where I left my wallet. I don't really need it. And so that form of like security is worth something to me, like that ease, that efficiency, that has value to me. And so that is why I prioritize it over cash money. But I do see the value for cash, especially when we're talking about like possibly like scary situations, like natural disaster type things, because if we get to a point where our electrical grid, for like instance, is completely blown out, I mean, even if there was cash, we'd kind of be screwed nonetheless. Like, supply chain would completely fall apart. We would really have no means of communication. So chaos for sure would ensue. But at the end of the day, if you were to hand someone a $100 bill for a case of water, they'd probably give it to you under the idea that one day this will return to its value once the power grid, whatever, is up. And so I see the value of cash. And even for like minor transactions, like cash has value, and not everything can be easily turned into an online system. But I think that I'm not from Starbucks corporate. Surprise, surprise. The green might coincidentally make you think otherwise, but I don't work for Starbucks, so I don't know why they went with that decision. I know a lot of places went cashless because of COVID, because they saw physical paper money and coins as a way to transmit the virus, but we now know that really isn't something that happens. But regardless, that I think was something that I heard a lot about during the pandemic, about places going cashless and people being kind of freaked out about it. And I think that has to do with distrust in our banks. That's honestly what I think it boils down to. We don't want to feel like we don't have control over our funds. And so, crazy, what's like one of the biggest pitches for Bitcoin? Be your own bank? Yeah, it is. And so, in a weird whirlwind way, I actually think that going cashless and making people think about that, like, oh, I don't want like to be entirely reliant on an app on my phone that's tied to a bank that doesn't care about me. I don't want that to be the only like source of stability I have for like being able to pay rent or being able to get a coffee and things like that. And so I think if people are thinking about that as a potential problem, and as this becomes a more and more popular thing that companies are doing, I would hope that that circles back to Bitcoin. I would hope that people see that, recognize those problems, and try and seek a solution to those problems. And I do think Bitcoin is indeed a solution to those problems. And it's great because the ease I was talking about with Apple Pay on my phone, that's something you can still work with your crypto. Like, there are multiple cards out there. I know I'm sponsored by Embily. This is on the Embily channel, but stuff like Embily, like, you can still make that a very simple transaction, because at the end of the day, we want to make things more efficient where we can. We want to save time when we can, because time is the most valuable resource that we all have, and it's one that we can't replace. So if people are recognizing this problem and they see a solution, Bitcoin is that solution. And I'm hoping that even though we don't like the idea of going cashless and that makes us all feel a little bit like weird, maybe that weirdness, maybe understanding and sitting and recognizing that will actually help Bitcoin in the long run. Now, I'm not saying that we're about to go cashless as an entire society, but this was more of like a fun thought experiment for me. If you have any different takes, like, please let me know in the comments, or like DM me on Twitter, because I'd love to know. It was kind of like something that just like caught my eye and I couldn't really stop thinking about it, so I wanted to make a video on it and just kind of do like a video essay of my thought process, because that was the first question I had when I saw that post. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to the Embily channel. And if you want to see more content from me in particular, you should totally follow me on Twitter at MissQueenCrypto. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!